right, back with Frankie Corrado and Brian Hayes. We're going to talk about TSN's top 25 NHL, essentially midseason report card, the list. We had 10 hockey experts, including these two, casting their votes. There you go. There you go. You are an expert here, and you're going to talk about it more. And, you know, when you do these lists, there's always a point of contention. Who should have been higher? Who should have been lower? Connor McDavid at number 2, a point of contention. Maybe not for what people would be thinking because we're used to seeing him at number 1. You didn't like him at number 2.
No, I think it's too high. I think we've forgotten about what happened the first 12 to 15 games of the season. Again, this is not the full year, Rod. At the end of the year, then he could very well be at the top. If I'm putting money down on who I think will be the best in the league down the stretch, it's Connor McDavid, absolutely. But based on his standards, the first 12 to 15 games of his season, he did not play well. Again, they had a coach get fired. They were at the bottom of the standings. He is largely responsible for that. Not just him, but a lot of guys in the league. And when you wear the crown, that's the type of standard that we expect out of you. His numbers are good, but they're not out of this world. For me, Kucherov should absolutely be ahead of him because Kucherov's numbers are out of this world at this point, Frankie. I think he's got less talent around him down in Tampa. They didn't have Vasilevsky to start the season. They had to outscore a lot of their issues. So I'd have Kucherov ahead of McDavid. I think you can make a case Quinn Hughes should be ahead of him. Maybe even Cale Makar, maybe Connor Hellebuyck. I get he's McDavid, and everyone wants to just continue to put the crown on him and say, that's it. But looking back on the first half of the season, I don't believe you should be as high as 2.
This is not just a legacy vote for Connor McDavid, and we can't have it both ways with him because we can criticize him at times because he doesn't get it done defensively, or that's not his strong suit. But the fact of the matter is, Connor McDavid this year, points per game played, 1.56. Nathan MacKinnon, who we're going to compare him up against, is first on this list, 1.71. So he's close. Yes, that's not the standard that McDavid has set, but defensively, he has become a much better player this season, and that's where the discrepancy gets filled for me. Take a look at these numbers defensively. Connor McDavid, when it comes to suppressing shot attempts and shots, much better than Nathan MacKinnon, and the results show. Goals against when Connor McDavid is on the ice, 30. Goals against when Nathan MacKinnon is on the ice, 40. So I get it. Yes, if we just want to print the stats page and plaster that all over the website, that's great. But if we actually watch and see the nuance, Connor McDavid has improved drastically defensively this year. And for me, that fills the discrepancy as far as the points per games played. Connor McDavid has taken his game to another level, and that should count for something when we're doing this list.
To be clear, did you have him number 1?
I had him at number 1 on my list based on the fact that he has improved so much that I think that covers what he hasn't had offensively this year.
You think he's a more complete player now than he's
ever been. This is the best defensive year Connor McDavid has ever had, and that should count for something.
But it's not the improvement halfway awards, right? That's not what we're talking about here. The goalpost move with him, unlike anybody else in the league. Look at what Kucherov's doing. Look at what McKinnon's doing offensively. Last year, what did we say about McDavid? We dropped the mic and said 64 goals, 153 assists. I don't remember anyone saying, well, look at his defensive numbers. Look at how great he looked with shot suppression and all that kind of stuff.
That's because he lapped the field so much last year.
But that's what these guys are doing, Frankie. These guys are not far off. They're not far off what he was doing last year. MacKinnon has been unbelievable. Kucherov's been unbelievable. And it's not that McDavid padded stats, and this is an arbitrary date. We're at the All-Star break. He had 2 big games right before the break. He had a 5-pointer earlier in the month. That's really moved his numbers up.
Had a 5-point game right before the All-Star break. They've been doing it all year. They've been doing it all year. In October, early November, when McDavid and the Oilers were struggling a little bit, MacKinnon was flying. Kucherov was flying. McDavid wasn't. I'm not saying he should be off the list. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think he's been ahead of those guys. So, okay, so where would you have him on the list if you're doing this list?
If I did it. I'll tell you right here, right now. I had him at 6. I had MacKinnon 1. I had Kucherov 2, Quinn Hughes 3, Cale Makar 4, Connor Hellebuyck 5. Those guys at their respective positions have been consistent all year. They've been unreal all year. They didn't take the first 12 to 15 games off. I'm sorry, they've been outstanding.
He also got hurt, so we have to take that into account. Like, for me, Connor McDavid, the way he's played defensively and the way he's still been able to keep up with those guys. And by the end of the year, would you be surprised if Connor...
Not in the least.
And this
but that's not what we're doing here. Don't get me wrong. He's still the best player in the world.
For sure.
He's still the best player in the world.
If you're starting a franchise today, you're absolutely taking Connor McDavid.
But this is a midterm report card.
Exactly.
This is a report card, and if you look at Connor McDavid and the way he's played, what he's doing away from the puck, packaged with what he's still doing offensively after he got hurt and after the coaching change, like for me, Nathan MacKinnon is number 1. No problem with that. He's probably going to win the Hart. We have to get that out there. But Connor McDavid at 2 is a lot closer than Connor McDavid at 6.
We're conditioned to seeing McDavid's name at the top. I think that's part of it as well. And he's so used to that. I wonder if the only number one thing that matters to him is being number one in line to get that Stanley Cup from Gary Bettman in June. Thanks, guys.